right, so as we're moving forward, I would like to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker by the name of Monique Brown. Ms. Brown is a parent and advocate of social justice in educational settings. I hate calling you Monique by your first name. Are you all right? Just keep on saying by her first name. All right. Monique is a doctoral candidate and is certified in education in the field of counseling and administration. Monique advocates for parental involvement in schools and is currently publishing materials that support parent voices in the decision-making process. Monique does public forums on mental health challenges that today's youth face, specifically addressing trauma and its impact on learning. Monique promotes equity in the education and is a firm believer that we all achieve our greatest aspirations with goal planning, perseverance, and support while on our paths to greatness. I'm going to go ahead and claim it for you. I would like to introduce Dr. Monique Brown.
Good morning, everyone. I am really not as formal as that introduction sounds, not at all. So welcome and thank you for coming. You have some things we're going to go. So while he mentioned all those personal things about me, I am also the guidance counselor at Prairie High School. And I think this is probably my maybe 14th year there. I took a hiatus for a year and a half when I was over at Westinghouse working with the Career and Technical Education Department for the district as the coordinator for co-op education. And now I'm about back to Perry this year. Typically, I work with juniors and seniors, and I think probably back they put me with my contemporary, which is a personal challenge. Now, ninth grade, something different about them, right? So I heard my audience is there are a lot of nurses here. Is that correct?
We got some nice.
Okay, so developmentally, you already know.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So you already know by looking at me, my age, what I'm going through biologically, and they put me with ninth grade, pray for me. I just ask that you pray for me. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about getting to know PPS, how students choose their career paths, and what resources are accessible to our students. Okay, so the big question is, what do I want to be when I grow up? That's something that we would typically ask ourselves when we were growing up. Students today still ask those things. The students over here to your left are students that competed in the state competition last year through the Career Technical Education Department on a state level with other schools, depending on what their choice of their career was. So I just wanted to familiarize you with that. You'll see various pictures of students that I had personally last year. And what that looks like and how we help students choose paths and what resources we are using in the school to help them get better. So I'm sure right now everybody pretty much is aware that this company is trying to restructure. We just want to put that out there because I can't answer any of your questions as to what's going to happen. And we're on camera, so you ain't going to get Ms. Brown caught up at the district office talking about Ms. Brown, you said, no, I didn't. All I know is that there is a plan for the schools to be restructured. And with that restructuring, it looks like there might be some opportunities for students to get more opportunities of access to different things or more. So this is the student that I had last year that was at Westinghouse, I believe, in the department. I'm going to play a clip for you that probably see. Might need some tech support over here, guys. Something popped up. See up here?
The mayor.
The mouse is mouse. No. So it's not planned, but the point of this is, it will take up too much time to figure out. This was if you ever seen this movie before, it's a movie with Will Smith, and he's talking to his son. It's The Pursuit of Happiness. And he's telling his son, he wants to, the son is playing basketball. But the son was playing basketball, and he had told the son basically, look, I was a below average player. More than likely, you're not going to be a great basketball player. Focus your time and your energies in the other things that you will be good at. And when he saw how his son responded to his comment, he immediately thought about it because he was trying to pursue his happiness, and he had been told no several times for different job interviews. So he immediately thought about it, and he said, you know what, don't let anyone tell you that you can't do what you want to do and you can't dream big, not even me. So I wanted to play that for you because that's very powerful when you're working with high school students in Pittsburgh. Very challenging. It's challenging for a lot of reasons that we had already discussed when Mr. Grayson was up here. But more so importantly, it's challenging because one of the problems that the students do not see is hope. When they come into the school in ninth grade, believe it or not, they are already feeling a little bit defeated. They may not have a great experience in middle school. They may not have had the best grades. They may have a lot of things going on at home. There's some things going on in the community. So they're already coming in with a little bit less than desired of hope that what we want, right? So my job is to encourage them from the very beginning. And believe it or not, we just had a situation yesterday where we were dealing with what he was talking about. The domestic violence is very real and it's extremely high in high schools. And it wasn't 12th grade, it was 9th grade. So just want to put that out there in case you know young people who are dealing with anything that have unhealthy relationships. What Mr. Grayson was describing earlier, when a woman is unhealthy and a man is unhealthy, what happens is they usually trauma bond. Okay? So trauma bonding is a very real thing, and it looks different, and it depends on the child's age. And when they get older, then it turns into all different other types of things that it just gets ugly real quick. So that was the point of that video for you to see that. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about the graduation requirements, because a lot of people are confused. Right now, everybody needs 26.5 credits to graduate from Pittsburgh Public High School, which is very high. Okay? The class of 2027, that requirement will drop. And I can't remember the number off the top of my head, so I didn't include it in this slide. I can look it up, but for right now, it's 26.5. And in each one of these categories, you need 4 credits of English, 4 credits of math, 4 credits of science, 4 credits of social studies, 2 credits of health, and 2 credits of gym. And you need 7.5 credits of electives. That means that the student chooses your things like fashion arts, band, music, things like that, Spanish. All of those things fall under your budget. In the beginning of 2027, that class that graduates that year, their requirements will change to a lesser amount. What we're seeing is a trend in a lot of students failing classes and then wanting to go to things called Passport Academy because their credit requirements are a lot less than Pittsburgh Public. So we had to take a look at that. We were trying to keep our students. We don't want our students to leave. But parents are under the impression that the charter schools are better for some students. I'm not going to have that debate. I don't have an issue against charter schools, but I am a Pittsburgh Public employee, and I do believe in public schooling. So that is what the requirements currently are right now. I think it's a good thing. And the reason why I think it's a good thing because it gives students more options to follow their pathways, and we'll get into that. Because not everybody that goes to high school wants to go to college. So it gives you the opportunity for them to have more options in terms of what they want to do and get them out and get them more exposed a lot sooner than what they currently are, as opposed to sitting in front of a teacher and getting that they can get out and get some experiential learning.
So you're gonna substitute in-school time for like community service?
So that is one of the state requirements right now. We'll get into that. So just to be transparent, the state of Pennsylvania 2 years ago came up with students have to have a proficiency on your Keystone scores in order to qualify for graduation. And if they're not proficient, then they also have to do community service, service learning project. So this gives those students the opportunity who may not test very well, right? We want all students to be proficient. But in the event that you do not test well, it gives you the opportunity to do that service learning project. So that will be in lieu of some of those credits, yeah. So, like I said, the biggest thing is how do I choose my path? When you're going to high school, it can be overwhelming, right? What do I want to be? Now, I was one of those students when I was little, full transparency. I grew up in a housing project. But my mother's family, they were middle class, right? There's a lot of them. And every summer I had to go to Virginia and learn how to hand vegetables and farm the land. And there was always an elder around, what you gonna be when you grow up? So I always had that. But nowadays, I don't hear a lot of students saying that people are constantly asking them, what are you gonna do when you grow up? Or what do you wanna be? Again, the hope is being depleted. So we as a community got to start going after for students who are not getting that in the home. Because I got it all the time, and I got tired of asking. I just start making up stuff. I'm going to be a doctor. But that's what I told them, because it sounded like a good answer, and they got off my back. Well, you're smart. You're going to be a doctor. Yeah, I'm going to be a doctor. And it worked. They spoke it into existence. They did. They did. How do we know what pathway a student wants to go to? And how do we know what resources to make affordable to them? Well, we have different pathways. So I'm sure in all this revamping that you all heard, Peary may be, a STEM program, a STEM magnet. Well, we're hoping, because we do have a STEM magnet at Peary, and most people don't know that. Peary is a magnet school. But it doesn't get advertised, for whatever reason, amongst the community for that. We have a state-of-the-art STEM program. We also have a state-of-the-art cosmetology lab that cost over $1 million to build for our career and technical education. We also have health careers. Now, I graduated from the health careers program, so they say I'm a little biased. I'm old, so I went to South Tech for that. And it wound up helping me get into IUP for nursing, because I told them people I was going to be a doctor, right? But I wasn't disciplined. They gave me cell biology, and that first book, I looked at the book and said, yeah, this ain't for me. We ain't even going to play with the money. We were just going to go ahead and transfer that little major over to something that I know will keep me here and I can still party. Because nursing wasn't it. That wasn't happening for me. But the good news is the programs that they have set up now, it really does prepare students for that next level of post-secondary education. So at Peary, we had something that no other school in the county has, and that was JROTC. I love this program. I do. I'm going to tell you why. Most of the students who are in that program carry the highest GPAs in the school. Does anybody want to tell me why? This is why they think? I said this. That is it. Now, I know Peary gets a bad rap. I know that. I've been there for long enough. I know. But I got to tell you, my daughter was in private school, and I took her to Peary because I didn't like the private school. She went into JROTC. When she got in there, she wound up graduating to be the valedictorian from Peary. Now, part of that is, of course, her training to get her up to that. But she came in the 10th grade. We actually was able to make sure that all the students who were in JROTC, we took out to look at it from the data group, right? So I'm like, wait a minute, all my JROTC kids got the highest GPAs, white and black. They just do. That discipline that they get from that program really does support them in making better decisions and in having great study habits. I'm gonna give y'all a little trick. You got somebody that's in college or going to college. Every 9 hours that they study a week per class, they're almost guaranteed to get a B. Did y'all hear that, man? Because a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think I would go ahead and read it for an hour or two, and I'll try to remember it, and I'm good, I got notes. My girl, Susie, I know Susie take good notes. Susie went to got good school somewhere in the middle of Pennsylvania. Susie got good notes. Susie's notes can't help you if you don't know the information. And the only way you're going to know it is if you're studying. Study 9 hours guaranteed to be CSE. There's a mathematical, I used to know the numbers for SAT too. I believe if you study 100 hours for the SAT, no. If you study 30 hours, I believe it is a month for the SAT, you're guaranteed to increase your score by 100 points. But you also got to study how to take the test because there's a method to that. It is just not based on the knowledge. There is a testing method. And most of our students, again, not having that information, don't know that. And that SAT score, while we can't stand it, that does give them some money, gives them better options, right? So I just want to tell you, I got a baby, my youngest right now, she goes to Tennessee State. Right after COVID, the recruiters came in and they said, oh, well, we're offering a full ride for students that have a 3.8. I said, oh, we got all these students around the city to go sign up. Got accepted. My niece was one of them who did it. She got a free ride. Following year came along, my daughter, she graduated from SciTech, which would have been not this school year, but last year, okay? She said, Mommy, I'm getting a full ride. I said, oh, are you? She said, yeah, I got 3.9. I'm getting, you don't have to pay no money. I said, I like that idea. Tennessee State got hit with the PWI. If you don't know what that means predominantly white institution. There's Tennessee State and there's the University of Tennessee. They were angry because most of the students that were high scholars wasn't applying to the University of Tennessee. They wanted to go to Tennessee State. So the state had some issues with that. There were all these congressional hearings. And they turned on and said, oh, we're taking back that scholarship. They have to have that SAT score of at least 1,100 to get that full ride. My daughter does my test well. She had a 970 with a 3.91 in fact of the scholarship and cried. I still haven't seen my face. Now I'm broke, y'all. I'm broke. Which not. I don't like to claim it, but I got to pay it because she didn't get it. She didn't get it. And so those SAT scores are highly important. And I tried to get her, because she took it twice. She said, Mom, I can't take it no more. I said, well, you want to go to medical school, you have to take that MCAT. So you better get used to taking that SAT score and get used to the mentality and the mindset around that. She said, well, I worry about that before too. I can't do it no more. The kids are tested and borrowed out, right? We still have to keep them encouraged because the first thing I tell ninth graders is that numbers matter. GPA matters, the Keystone scores matter, the SAT scores matter, your attendance rate matters. And even though I don't like to tell them those things because I don't want them to feel like they're just being already getting self-completed from a lot of things, they have to know those things. Because believe it or not, we are graduating a lot of people who don't even understand their credit score. They don't understand how to make tax information appropriate for themselves. They understand how to vote, but they really don't understand how to be self-efficient with day-to-day life skills. So Pittsburgh Public recognized that. The state of Pennsylvania recognized that. And they have mandated last year that all students must take a class called financial literacy. And so now all of our students are getting that. We've always had it at Peoria as an elective, but now it's mandatory that all students from the class of 2027 on up have that as a mandatory elective. And I think that's wonderful because they will actually learn how to be self-sufficient and understand how those things go. So I started over here with JRTC. Let me get back to the slide. CTE, this is where I was the past 2 years. Wonderful program. This is where students learn career and technical education jobs, and they also get the opportunity to practice in that field prior to graduating. And then we have the STEAM over here. And that is the science, technology, arts, engineering, and math. This is the program that is new to Perry that we are hoping is going to really blossom and turn into something phenomenal because there are so many scholarships and opportunities in robotics and any STEAM. And I still say STEM because they added the A, which is the arts, but it's really STEAM. we want really to attract that for a lot of students because what they don't understand is, especially children of color, we have been doing this. When I tell the students, oh, you do know a black Nigerian man is what created Wi-Fi. They go, what? When they can see themselves by way of someone else, someone that looks like them, that has done phenomenal things, then the hope starts to be restored again. But if I were 15 and in the ninth grade and everybody that we studied, I never saw anyone that looked like me, well, automatically I'm going to think, well, I people can't do this. That's far-fetched for me. That's a dream. But when I know that there are people who are out here doing things, when I know that there was a black man that created the traffic light and a black woman that actually created the first GPS system, and all of those things, that the stuff that's not in history books, it gives me a little bit more hope. It helps me connect with who I am. It is. African American history is there, but remember again, the word curriculum really means the source of control. So they control what it is that is written in the books, right? McGraw and Hill make a lot of money to keep the information that they want in the books. This is one of the reasons why there was a big argument between that and the critical race theory, which I don't even get into because I like my coins. And I don't know what position folks sit on, so I don't give personal opinion. I can only tell you what's out there. So yes, we do, African American history is a course that we offer in Pittsburgh Public. It is not a required course, but it is. So these three pathways are ways that we help children decide, what do you want to do? So we have to,
Ms. Brown,
yes,
are the services at the CPE available to the public,
what do you mean?
the cosmetology program?
For them to go in and to actually get their hair done, it will be.
Okay.
I do know that, so in order for students to work, I believe, on actual people, there's so many hours that they have to put in, because this is all controlled by the state.
Okay.
So when they graduate, they will actually, if they've completed and passed the exam, they will actually be licensed cosmetologists. So with that being said, one of the things that the state of Pennsylvania is you cannot actually do certain services without the certification.
Okay.
So that's the only program though, when I was a coordinator last year for job placement, that was the only program that we could not put students into an actual job because nobody would hire them without them having a license.
Okay.
But health careers, you're gonna be excited about that. My nurses, we did a partnership with UPMC and I placed 7 children in jobs after graduation that were actually working at Presby and Shakespeare. They're not RNs. They gotta go back to school for that. But the good news is they're working for an employer that can reimburse them for school. They're working as CNAs or first floor PCTs. Yep. So there's opportunity there. We also had some students that worked in like fire and they have to take the civil service test. So even though you get these jobs, we did a merger, a collaboration with Mayor Gainey and downtown at the HR department for the county, and so for the city. So we had jobs that we had for students that were, I had a student that placed in the engineering department. We had a couple students that worked around the city. And Pittsburgh Public as well. We have students who were working as lunch aides, and they were actually getting paid, because what you do is the time that you're supposed to be in that class, which is for 3 periods, almost 3 hours, that's the time that you actually physically go to work. And there's opportunity for them to work after school on the weekends as well. So they actually got that opportunity. And here's the thing, when they were working at the Board of Education in the nutritional dietary department, those students actually were able to become union members. So even though school was out, they still had jobs if they wanted to stay. What's OW? Oh, so it's sort of like that, but we had, now they call it OBR, is that what you know? Okay. No problem, no problem. So OBR is specially designed for our students who receive special education services. What we used to do in the city is called work release. And with work release, they stopped that during COVID because the person who was in charge of that retired. And our attorney for the district said, absolutely not, we have nobody to monitor these students, they're going here or going there, and it's COVID. So they took that off. So regular students no longer leave high school to go to work, but if you're in career and technical education, you are assigned, that's all through, that's what my job was as a coordinator. There were two of us. I was hired to support and help get it up and running because it hadn't been running in the district for over 12 years. So they got me over there on some grant money, and once the grant money was done, they said, look, well, so we want to keep it, but you got to go back to Perry. I said, there's no problem. But the point was to get the program up off the ground and get it running. And we did so, and we successfully had students placed in jobs once they were offered their job letters before they even graduated, so they knew where they were going to go. And that worked out very well because not everyone wants to go to college, and college is very expensive. So while I, as a guidance counselor, promote college, I also promote career and technical education and trade schools. I also promote the military because here's my thing. You need to know what all your options are so that you and your parents can make an informed decision, right? And if I only promoted schools, college, then I'm not reaching the other students who don't desire to go to college and who would rather go into the military. You got a lot of students who want to do both. I want to go to school, Ms. Brown, and get my degree, and then I want to go in the military as an officer, and then I want to get them to pay for medical school. And that's a wonderful plan. So we have students who come from all different types of backgrounds. Isn't that a question? Oh, no. Okay. So that was 3 pathways we discussed. Here's the 4th pathway. This is CAS. How many of you heard of CAS? Okay. I know you have. So CAS stands for the Center for Advanced Studies, formerly known as the Gifted and Talented Program. It's a combination now. So before, when you used to take a test to find out if you were gifted, you had to have a certain IQ range. This part, one thing that they did, right, they said, this ain't fair to our chocolate babies. We got to do something different because the IQ scores were never really reaching what the requirement was at that time. And they needed the testing because of the final. So they came up with the Gifted and Talented Program. So you can get into the Gifted program based on talent. Does your talent have to be something in acting, music, or whatever? No. Your talent could be just based on the fact that you're just a smart kid and you don't test well, right? So in order to get into that, you have to have attended school 85% of the time. I know you're sort of thinking, well, why is attendance even a requirement? Because our babies don't come to school. They don't. And we got to get better at that as a community. I just spent a couple weeks over in Africa, and my fiance is a teacher over there. And he said, you know the difference between America and Africa when they don't go to school? I said, what's the difference? He said, if I walk outside, I can beat one of them and take them to school, and ain't nobody gonna say nothing. As a matter of fact, that is the expectation. And I said, really? He said, yeah, but I ain't walking around beating nobody's kids, but that's how our culture is. I said, well, you know, if I see somebody come to school, you know what I could do? He said, what? I said, drive right on past them and just look at them and say, you never to be in school, and keep it moving. I said, I'm taking a risk by saying that, right? Culture has different expectations in different societies. And in our society, while we want attendance to be something that we highly value, unfortunately, right now, we need to get better at that. So you have to have at least 85%. You have to have at least received a B on the previous course. Receiving means if you want your student to, I say scholar, if you want your scholar to take a, let's say, an English class at a CAS, because we have English 1 and we have English 1 CAS, right? That would be the gifted class, right? Typically, in the class that they had in middle school, that teacher needs to be saying, you know what, this kid is in the gifted program, or this kid is really above the average, and we'll go ahead and put them in. But when you're in high school and you're in your 10th grade and you want to take English CAS, we look at your English CAS 1 grade, or at least your English 1 grade if you didn't have CAS. And if you didn't have a B or better, then I'm the CAS coordinator. I'm a little rough. I don't know if y'all can tell, but I'm a little rough. I'm a stickler to the rules. I do bend up from time to time, but I'm a stickler to the rules of the district. And this is the rule of Central Office for Gifted and Talented. So if you come to, I have several parents, oh, Miss Brown, my baby can't be in that class, they ain't learning nothing, it's so unruly, they need to be in the CAS class. Well, okay, let's have a conversation. Now, when I look up your child's grades and I see that your child had a C or a D, there ain't nothing that you want to do to convince me to put that baby in that CAS. Nothing. But I'm going to hear you out because I'm going to respect your voice. But then I'm going to tell you what the rules are, and then I'm going to tell you why I'm concerned as an adult that's responsible for your child's learning, right? Why it should not be right now. We can work up to that. We can actually give your child some enrichment activities, and we can see. But right now, the performance from the previous school year does not indicate that that's a very good idea. And I'm not going to say that your baby's not smart enough to be in it. I'm going to say it's not a good idea right now. We need to make sure we can support that student so that we're not just throwing things at them and they can't catch up. Like that would be for the student. And they always understand, even though they don't like that answer. Have to have at least a 2.75. Now, this used to be a 3.0, but COVID, they kicked it down a notch, and I think they're about to kick it back up again to a 3.0. Because we know that the 3.0 is on there, right? That's a big average, yes.
I wanted to ask a question, it may be off the topic in a way. But do they, encourage kids from the ninth grade that you GPS and your GPA determine on college, start STEM, not at 11th, 12th grade?
I reviewed that, yeah, I said that already. Yeah, I tell them, so what I tell them coming in is numbers matter. That's my thing, because it gets their attention, right? And I explained to them that you may have blown off the PSSA, but you're in high school now, you need the score to graduate. Like they never, ever, all states, I swear Pennsylvania has got to be the last state, because I used to live in Florida and it was mandatory. If you didn't pass their state exam, you did not graduate, period. You did. And Pennsylvania now has that, but Pennsylvania offers pathways for those students that still can't pass the exam. And let me tell you, our babies are smart. They can pass that test. They don't want to take it. The attitude towards testing is extremely poor. They don't want to take it for whatever reasons. They just don't want to take it. They can pass it if they really want to. I'm convinced of that. I've seen the scores. They can pass it. But now the requirement is if they don't pass it, there's other pathways they have to take. Because if they go to CTE and they don't pass it, guess what? They take a certification in their CTE class and the state accepts that as a fulfillment. So that's, I'm glad you brought that statement. And then, of course, sometimes we go to teacher recommendations because, you know, not everybody believes in the decision that was made for their student.
When did they stop the testing for CAS?
There is no test for CAS.
I don't, when did they stop doing the testing that they used to do?
So they still do IQ testing if you want your student to be identified as gifted.
Oh,
But if you're going in on the talented part, they don't look at testing scores. That's the way, that's the avenue that helps support students of color to help them access that type of level of rigor as well, because they may not test.
And then the pathway, when does that start, 9th or 10th? The
The
pathway,
pathway starts at 9.
9th.
And then we have what we call college and high school. So college and high school, I was copying it because I stole this slide from another presentation from last year when they did it at Perry. And the hilarious part about the whole thing is that the information was for last school year to let you know who the collaborations were. So we're in collaboration with Pitt University and Robert Morris. So these students actually take classes at Pitt, at Robert Morris, and they get college credit. The difference between this and an AP class is that when you take an AP class with an advanced placement, you have to score at least a 4 on that in order to get the credit from the university. But with college and high school, there's no exam. You just take the class, and whatever you get from this university, it comes on their transcript, is proof that that's the grade you got in that class. So this is much more attractive these days than the AP classes, because the AP classes do require that the student pass a certain number on the exam. But we still offer AP because it's still a great opportunity for students, right? Why was I laughing? This is my daughter. She graduated in 2019. I did not do that. So I was laughing at the fact, I'm not even that period. Y'all using her. Why did they use her? She's one of the first people in the city when they did the collaboration to take classes, excuse me, at CCAC as well as at Pitt. CCAC has a face around there as well. So I was propping that. What we do is in-school tutoring support now. So the district, Dr. Walters, gotta love him. He came up with a wonderful plan last year where all students can access tutoring now. And it's on a computer, so they can access it at any time with whatever subject at every grade level. And I really, really, really think that's awesome because that one piece was something that was really missing. You know, a lot of students, a lot of parents say, hey, my kid needs tutoring, especially after COVID, right? So I wonder what they were going to do, and Dr. Walters fixed that with no problem.
Can they interchange the credits from between Pitt and Robert Morris? Like if they took one class at Pitt and one class at Robert Morris, can they use that when they go into whatever program, whatever?
You'll get a transcript from Pitt, you'll get a transcript from Robert Morrison when they go. So for example, my daughter, the baby, she's the one that goes to Tennessee State, she graduated from SciTech. So SciTech is considered a complete CAS school, okay? So everybody that goes to SciTech right now is considered Center for Advanced Studies, okay? She took an African-American English class at Pitt, and that was when she applied to Tennessee State, she had to provide her Pitt transcript so that they would give her that credit. Now, you don't get the grade, but they will acknowledge the fact that you took the class and you got the credit. So she's already going into college. There's a lot of students who were able to graduate in 3.5 years because if they take more college and high school classes while they're in high school, we call that dual enrollment. Those credits will come for them and they'll be able to graduate. They don't get the GPA. Now, my oldest, the one that the picture just went down, she took 2 classes here at CCAC. She got A's in both of them. She was very upset to know that that was not one of her GPA when she got the IUP. But she got the credit. So she took her majors in international business, so she took the math classes here. So she didn't have to take those when she got the IUP, but then those 2 A's that she got, it won't help in her GPA. Does that kind of make sense to you?
It saves them money.
It saves them money, so they get that, that's the whole point. Now, when you go to Pitt, because of financial, they look at your financial status, of course, I would not qualify for anything free, but I only had to pay out of pocket like $76 for my baby to take her English class at Pitt last year. So it's not too bad, right? But most of our students access that for free because they qualify for the scholarship. So I encourage you, young people who are going in high school or in high school, talk to them. Hey, did you ever think about dual enrollment? Talk to your counselor about that because it saves them time and money on the back end. Yes.
Is that apply to the charter schools as well, or just from public schools?
Or you're unsure? I'm unsure because it depends on if your charter school is in collaboration with the universities or not, if they have that set up. But when you ask about it, say, do you have any dual enrollment programs set up with your college? That's what you ask.
So how do you, with dual enrollment, how do you get on the track that you're able to do dual enrollment though? Because you have to have enough credits, right, in order to be able to come out and start doing the college course?
No.
Or you're doing like double?
When they first started out, they only had seniors as a pilot do it. But we start now, the goal now for Pittsburgh Public is that starting as soon as possible, we would like for every student to come out and at least have a high school diploma and an associate's degree. So we have a collaboration with CCAC as well. And they can start that in 9th grade. It just depends on what's offered and what semester. A lot of times, believe it or not, my older babies don't want to go to do enrollment because they're like, because why not work? I got to make my money. I pay for prom. I got to buy my refrigerator for college. Whatever it is they got going on, they're like, I can't do the dual enrollment thing. So it's the younger students that are actually accessing. So they can start. It's just a matter of a conversation with their counselor. And their counselor should be introducing this to them. It shouldn't be something. I mean, it's only the second year of school. We haven't had the opportunity to really meet because we're still doing schedules, right? But within a month, they should start to be pulled down into their office and having, oh, hey, what are you thinking about doing when you graduate? Those beginning conversations should start very soon. And then when they get the information about what the classes are that's offered, because we wait on the university. It's not so much that we just can't do it. We have to wait on the universities to see what it is they're offering, what they're saying that the prerequisites are for the classes that they're offering. Sometimes the ninth graders have to wait a little bit because they may not have the math skills or the English skills that they need for the classes that are being offered, but it just depends.
But these are, free for enrollment, or are they extra?
They're free for enrollment.
Transportation also covered?
So the transportation issue, I believe, is covered because Pittsburgh Promise, we access them all the time. They're gonna kill me. Pittsburgh Promise is one of those places that if you got the 85%, the 90% attendance of them, and you are doing what you need to be doing in terms of your grades, we can access that funding early, and they can actually pay for the class too. And if you have students who are like seniors graduating this year and you know anybody, let them know if you qualified and you made the Pittsburgh Promise and you're getting your money, you can always go away to your university if it's outside of Pennsylvania and come back in the summer, and they will pay for a class at CCAC. And I'll be doing that. That's all I'm doing. You gotta save money. And if you can get some classes knocked off this summer at CCAC while you're home visiting and use your Pittsburgh Promise money, why not? Instead of going to school for 5 or 6 years, you can knock that down the floor by just accessing the funds that you've already earned, because you can't use the Pittsburgh Promise money for school outside of Pennsylvania. Come home in the summer, go to CCAC, and use them, and fit, and you can come back. They do. So I'll talk a little bit about that. We have a program called Naviance that we use. Naviance helps students identify career paths as early as, I think they started in second grade, or it might be first grade. So they have all of these things that they start, but as they get older, it picks up more and it starts to sink in more. But yes, they do have these conversations and planning with students at a very young age. And what's cool about Naviance is you can log into that. Let me know, Tamara, when I'm up to you, I'll talk further. You can log into that and see jobs across the entire country and how they compare based on the title of the job and what the salaries are and how many people they're looking to go to fill. I'll give y'all a little sneak tip. You know, for graduating, one of the greatest jobs globally that everyone is hiring for is cybersecurity. So if you know anybody, kids that like to be gaming or constantly on Facebook, hey, why don't you take that and turn this into some money for yourself? That's how I get them. I don't ever say, well, why don't you do this? Because it seems like something like, well, you just turn this into some money, right? Then I talk on their level. Oh, no, it's wrong, you can't let my daughters put me in a nursing home and push me in the corner, talk about let her look at the squirrel. Y'all gotta come take me to the mall. I like to shop. The only way you can do that is you got a couple coins, right? So how do we get our coins up? So that's how I come at them, so they go like, oh, okay, well, yeah, they'll get more into it when you talk on their level and help them understand the bigger picture, because they really do want to do well, but a lot of them, again, don't see the hope.
When you say Pittsburgh Promise, they can go to the university, you say outside of Pennsylvania or outside of Pittsburgh?
So if you attend a university outside of Pennsylvania, you cannot use your Pittsburgh Promise funds. It
Right.
only supports schools in Pennsylvania. But if they're at a university, like my daughter, she went to Tennessee State, she was gonna take a summer class, but she decided not to. And I said, if you take a summer class, you need to get in contact with the Pittsburgh Promise and let them know you want to access your money to pay for that class at CCAC. They can do that.
And then they can come back.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome. So CTE, we got 17 programs across Pittsburgh Public Schools. And we offer those in 6 different high schools. Most of them begin in grade 10, but the one that starts in grade 9 is cosmetology. Okay? The only other exception is our engineering program is at Alderdice. It starts in grade 11. Okay? So all engineering and Cosmo are the only 2 grade levels that start differently. Everything else starts in grade 10. And believe it or not, we've got some phenomenal programs in the city. I took a tour as a counselor in the district. I knew what was offered because I offered that to students every year. But I had never actually been to all the schools to see those programs until I worked in CTE, and I was blown away. I mean, these kids are really doing some phenomenal things. I'm talking about robotic stuff. They're building stuff, they're building robots, they're building things, they're actually, they rebuilt a car, was on display last school year down at the convention center. They do a lot. There is a lot of programs where they're doing some phenomenal things, and a lot of people don't know about that. CTE, I love that program. It does help prepare students for careers and supports them in identifying what they enjoy doing. I tell the kids all the time, anything that you enjoy doing, you'll make money at. As long as you enjoy it, you will make some money because you'll get creative and you'll figure out another way to obtain it. And here are some of our partners at Perry that we partner with the different programs that come in and support us. I don't even know half these people. I'm not even gonna tell you that I do, because they know me, but I don't, that's embarrassing, but I don't know them. I know their names, but I don't know them personally. But they are really phenomenal with coming into the school and supporting us in everything that we do to support our students in that school. And these are all of my students that I had last year personally as a coordinator. This was UPMC president, Shady Side. This was the cafeteria working with a lunch person. I got a couple of students into the Carpenters Union, and I don't know if you know anything about that, but that is very difficult to do in Pittsburgh. The Carpenters Union, very difficult to get into. We took those babies out there by the airport, and they took their exams, and they did what they needed to do, and they got it. That's the robotics team that competed in Harrisburg. There's some more young ladies that were working. These are the babies that work for the fire department. This is the young man that I had in the engineering department downtown in the mayor's office. And so I just wanted to show you that our kids can do great things, and they will do great things as long as we as a community continue to inspire them and support them. Okay? Does anybody else have any other questions?